Every month, the Victoria Real Estate Board publishes its numbers, and every month, one word does most of the work in the headline. For June, that word is balanced. It's accurate, but it's also close to the least useful word in the report if you own a home worth more than $1.5 million and you're thinking about selling. Now, by the end of this video, you'll know 3 things: what the June data actually says about Victoria, where the premium end of the market is behaving differently from that headline, and the one number most sellers read that points them in the wrong direction. Now, I'll use the own board's figures the whole way throughout, and I'll be clear about where those figures stop being reliable. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Alex Hughes, and I work with buyers and sellers just like you in Victoria. And if you're weighing a sale in the next 6 to maybe 12 months, my Calendly and a couple of resources are going to be linked in the description. Now, we're going to come back to that later, but for now, let's stay with the numbers. Starting with the shape of the whole market, in June, 719 properties sold across the board's region. It's about 5.5% fewer than the same month last year and basically flat against May, so there's nothing dramatic here. The number that matters more is inventory. There were just over 4,000 active listings at the end of June. That's up about 7% from a year ago. Now, there's more homes on the market, roughly the same number of buyers looking at them. But the board tracks the sales to active listings ratio, and this June it sat in the low 20s. Now, anything, as you heard me say, between 17 and 28% is considered balanced, meaning no strong pressure on prices in either direction. So the headline is fair. Now, as a region, Greater Victoria, it is balanced, and it isn't only the board's read. Leo Speltehoutz, who runs the independent site House Hunt Victoria, puts the same data through a seasonal adjustment, and he has conditions actually firming in June, back into the middle of balanced territory after a couple of softer months. Now, that's worth knowing because it means the balance we're looking at isn't just a 1-month quirk in raw numbers. Now, a caveat on this though, is that what's holding the region in balance is really the single family market. Condos had a soft June, with sales down about 27% from a year ago. But if you're selling a house and it's over $1.5 million, well, let's be real, that condo story is mostly noise to you. Here's the part that gets lost though. A regional average is built mostly from the busy middle of the market. Homes under about $1.25 million, where most of those transactions are actually happening. Now, the clearest window the board gives us into the higher end is the waterfront single family category. It isn't perfect stand-in for luxury, but it's the cleanest premium segment in the data, and it tells a more specific story than just balanced. Now, in June, there were 22 waterfront single family homes sold. We gotta remember that number 22 because it comes back later. Now, there's 3 things that stand out with this. First, those homes sold at about 92% of asking price on average. In the core, single family, that figure was 98. So buyers at the top end are negotiating harder, closer to 8% under ask against about that 2% lower down. Now, second, they're taking longer. Waterfront homes sat around 67 days on average before selling, up roughly 20% from a year ago. The core market moved in at about 36. Now, third, there's more of it. Premium inventory is up. More competition, more time on the market, more room for a buyer to negotiate. It isn't a decline in value, it's just a shift in leverage, and right now it's concentrated at the top. Now, the part I think about most is that the average waterfront sale price this June was down about 15% from a year ago. If you're reading only that line, you think that the top of the market fell off a cliff. It didn't. This is the single most important idea in the video. Remember those 22 sales. An average built on 22 homes swings entirely on which 22 happen to sell. One quiet month with a few smaller waterfront homes and no trophy properties, and the average drops, even if no individual home lost $1 of value. That's not a market moving, that's arithmetic on a small sample. The board publishes a second number for exactly this reason. It's called the benchmark, or the home price index. It's built to control for what's selling, the same style of home month over month. So when it does move, the value moved, not the mix. Now look at the benchmark instead of the picture changes. In Oak Bay, the benchmark single family value is essentially flat against last year. In the core, it's down less than 1%. On the Peninsula, North Saanich, Central Saanich, it's actually up a couple percent year over year. The underlying value of these homes are holding, and the average just made it look like it wasn't. Now, this is where knowing how a home is actually built earns its place. 2 homes on the same street, in the same price band, can be $100,000 apart on real value, depending on the roof, the drainage, the age of the wiring, whether a renovation was done properly or just made to look finished. Now the benchmark can't see any of that. So where does this leave a seller this summer? Well, the value is there, benchmarks are holding, but the leverage has moved toward the buyer at the top end, and the June data is specific about how. More inventory to compete with, buyers negotiating a few points harder, and a longer wait before an offer comes. Now here's the part that should get a seller's attention. On a seasonally adjusted basis, new listings this June were running close to their highest level in about 15 years. So if you're listing this summer, you're not imagining the competition. There is generally more of it than at almost any point in the last decade and a half. Three things follow from that. Price to the benchmark and the genuine comparables, not to last year's average, and not to the highest sale your neighbor got in 2022. Buyers at this level have more choice than they've had in years, and they're using it. Expect the first 3 weeks to do most of the work. A well-prepared, correctly priced premium home still moves. A hopeful price sits, and sitting is expensive. Every week on the market at the top end quietly hands the buyers more negotiating room. And prepare the home to survive scrutiny. At 92 cents on the dollar, buyers are looking for reasons to come down. Now, the fewer questions your home raises, the less of that leverage they have. I want to end where the data ends because this is the part most markets updates skip. 22 waterfront sales, 23 single family sales in all of Oak Bay in a whole month. At those volumes, the market isn't a trend. It's a handful of specific homes, each with its own story, averaged together and drawn as a line on a chart. That leaves two honest limits. Number one, no single month at the top end proves the directions. You need to watch for several. And two, your home's outcome will depend far more on its own condition, positioning, and pricing than on any other board-wide number. The data sets the weather, it doesn't tell you what to wear. And I'm not the only one making that point. The same independent analysis over at House Hunt Victoria cautions that monthly median prices swing around a fair bit on their own month to month. And when two people reading the same data from different directions both land on, be careful with a single month, that's usually a signal worth taking. Conversely, that's not a reason to ignore the numbers. It's a reason not to give them more authority than they've earned. So if you are a seller and you take one thing from June, take this. The region is balanced, the value in your tier is holding, and the leverage has shifted enough that how you price and prepare matters more this year than it did last year. So if you want to talk through where your specific home sits, not the average your home, the Calendly is in the description. No pressure, no formal listing conversation, just the numbers on your property. I'll have the July release broken down next month, and thank you so much for watching.